All right. Check 1. Check 2. Check 2000 and zappa-dap-dap 2. This is going to be a good one. Welcome to the Cannabis Coffee Hour. With your host, me, Rob Cantrell, coming back for another episode 192. Now, we have been a little sporadic lately. I apologize to all the hardcore coffee and herb out fans that enjoy smoking and listen to me drabble. I don't drone, I drabble. I ramble and I ramble on. But no, I try to have some focus with this podcast, and I am. I'm focusing on coffee, and I'm focusing on cannabis. I'm focusing on comedy. I'm focusing on music. I'm focusing on, just how the bend of legalization's going. It is fascinating. As much of cannabis content is out there, it's bending and changing and weaving all around. Everything is. The market, the financial market, the global market, the at home, the everywhere. It's all changed. But that's been a part of the gig from the get-go. I got a nice cup of coffee here. I'm drinking black coffee. That's how serious this episode is. This episode isn't this serious. It's just going to be me, but I definitely have some stuff to talk about, and I like getting back into the rhythm of doing solo ones, and I'm looking at some stuff to invest in. I'm going to invest into some lasers, get some lasers for the show. Definitely going to get some smoke machines for the show, but and more coffee and more weed. If you want to sponsor the Cannabis Coffee Hour, which just had a illustrious guest, Craig Robinson. Give it up 5 times for my man. Great dude. That guy's a 100% rock star, comedian, actor, and musician, and nothing but respect and love. And Craig was beyond kind to get me out on tour for a minute and also do my podcast. I asked him, the dude's so busy and doing so many like TV and Pizza Hut commercials. He really is tired. So, but he was awesome on the episode. I thought it was cool that we recorded it in a green room at a real I mean, that was the vibe between, that was Saturday night shows. So we did Thursday night, big sold out room. Shout out to the Albany Funny Bone. I have to say, the Albany Funny Bone, it's in a mall in Albany, but if you're ever in Albany and you want to just go check out some comedy and get some chicken fingers, they got good food. It's super clean. It's connected to a cool part of the mall, like it's right there, like if you just want to dab in and dab out. And they get top talent because everybody runs through New York City, so you know Tracy Morgan goes up there, they get, and they also get like just the steady kind of like stand-up comedy cats running through as well. But they also get superstars. It was just a fun weekend. Shout out to that. Shout out to Albany. I dig upstate New York. The more and more I visit up there, I dig it. The state of New York is trippy, man. It's big and it's outside. I mean, New York City is just this whole other super universe. But outside and going upstate, it's definitely very mountainy, and during the winter it's cold. It's fucking small towns, but it's all kind of the runoff of all these hippies and weirdos of New York City over the years. So you just get interesting mixes and vibes. Like some of those towns up there have great fucking restaurants, like vegan restaurants and good art and bands and shit. And then there's skiing. I just didn't grow up in the Northeast. I grew up on Northeast D.C., Washington, D.C. But D.C.'s kind of, that's what I liked about D.C. It's like in the middle of, it's definitely not if you lived in the city of D.C., it definitely wasn't the South. Once you start going into Virginia, that's when you start eating some grits. But D.C. had some grits. D.C. had Scrapple, which is more of a Pennsylvania diner food. I do love a good diner food. And as a coffee, I have one of these diner New York coffee, but it's like porcelain. It's sick. They sell them out. Go check them out. I need to start selling some. Not to be talking about merch and all that, but I need to get on my coffee cup game. And all of this is coming. I'm going to upgrade the art. I'm going to upgrade, just definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you could do me a favor, everybody listen to the voice, go to the Cannabis Coffee Hour YouTube channel. It's blowing, it's moving. But once I start getting over 1,000 subscribers, I make a little cash off of it. So it would help the process out. And it doesn't cost you a fucking dime. So get on the good foot and subscribe to the Cannabis Coffee Hour YouTube. I am drinking Lava Zava, Lavazza. I've been hitting this. I do like this is Italian coffee. Shout out to Italy for just fucking bomb ass coffee. But this is actually this supports the Amazon. So it supports the Amazon. I guess it's like a native bean, but it's a whole bean, but it's going to the environment. So I guess, I don't know. I've got, it sounds pretty good. But Lava Zava always has good coffee. A world that destroys the good of nature is one I do not wish to be a part of. That's a part of Lava Zava's thing. Okay, I could dig that. And that was 1935. Man, this guy didn't play. The desire to protect the planet and respect people who live there gave birth to the Giuseppe Pedetta Lavazza Foundation, which since 2004 has been taking care of farm communities and sustainable projects. Yeah, we gotta just support the coffee farmers, man. I think one thing with this big shakeup of the pandemic and the funkiness that's going down, we're starting to, streamlining shit. That's what I love about doing this podcast, because I just kind of do it all, and I do it myself, and I make the beats, and I get the guests, and I tape it up, and I don't have a team yet. I will eventually if we get over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. And I definitely want to produce more high quality episodes, but I also like doing the audio of this episode. But this is good coffee. Shout out to Lava Zava. It's a good bean. I went through a whole bag of Stumptown, and then I went through a whole bag of Big Bang Pete's. Those are all. If you ever want a really good coffee, I'll give you Lava Zava. Got great coffee, and I always go for the medium roast. But something fun if you want to just get ground coffee. It's in a good tin, and it's at a good price, and it's high quality. In this bag of coffee, like their price is just a little bit down than kind of the upper echelon, kind of $20 bag. Once you start going $20, $23 bag, it's kind of like craft beer. Like they might taste a little bit weird. You got to know what you're getting. And I think that's how it's going with cannabis. Just to get back to the point of just like streamlining and understanding the source and understanding the effects. And I think as consciousness becomes more aware, or I say consciousness, it's just a group of motherfuckers, group of people that are all kind of thinking about the stuff, becomes more aware of what actually a human is and how cool it is to be on this planet and how we're all connected to nature, and not to run away from it, but also to harness it. And I think with cannabis and with coffee and with our brains, and to understand, where the shit comes from, I guess is the gig. And I have some great cannabis. This is called Cookies and Cream. From my fellas over at Mr. Nice Guys in Brooklyn. They have a good camp. They're doing great. Let me see, where was I? Yeah, but Michigan, I was just in Michigan. I have to say, like, I got this great hash in Michigan for like $25. It was like a ball of like that classic good hash. And that's what I had when I was working at the office. But I had great shows. It was just clean and mean and not too much. I'm not into all that dab life, and I'm not dissing on it. A good vape pen with good oil is sick. But sometimes it's sketch, and I'm getting older, and the vape fumes for the lungs just ain't cool. I like a little bit of flour. I got some great dark chocolate here too. I've been snacking on some good cannabis dark chocolate, and I got that from Mr. Nice Guys. Those guys are dope. Check them out if you're in Brooklyn. Those guys have their own van. Like Cannabis, they're actually like giving out classes at the Brooklyn Public Library. Like New York State's going hard in the paint, man. I read this whole thing like about the farms that are coming out. And the farms are on Long Island, and like they've already grown enough cannabis for all the legal dispensaries here. So I'll be interested on seeing how the New York State growers, but people have been growing, if it just needs to get in the right hand, like weed growers are a whole other breed of type people. And I think anybody could do it, but people but you got to get, if you want to do it right, you got to love it. And like, that's why I always try to have Danny Danko on here. He's a great grow guy. And he was talking weed grow nerd shit to me forever. And I kind of glaze over at a certain, point, because I'm not like growing big ass plants. But I will once this goes super legal, man. I'm kind of waiting on federal, but I will say the Biden administration is it's a lot better than if it was Trump. I don't know, man. I don't want to talk politics, but this was the whole stat that I read, and it's not that it's more weed than politics, and more just like generalization. It was like 2 out of 3 people, like 75% people in America, no matter what, were in favor of Biden erasing those weed charges. Like, that's so crazy, man. And then, I was talking to my wife, and she was like, Rob, they're giving out weed classes at the public library up here. Like, it's really going wild. And I love it. But it's really about the quality and the classiness of the joint, There's a lot of like just dirty, weird weed vape shop. Just like, you got to treat it with respect, man. I don't know if there, that's why I've been thinking about opening a dispensary. Is like, I think there's just a market for a little bit higher end, a little bit more, care. Like I've always said, you could tell when you walk into a business if the person's a dirtbag usually. But running a business is all about numbers, and you kind of got to be like super cutthroat too. So I understand being a hard businessman. But being a dick is, yeah. But people are difficult. People are on edge out there, and everybody's just having a rough time. But also dealing and having a great time. I don't know. That's how I feel. At my age right now, it's just like every day is like a super blessing. I'm like, oh shit, I'm alive. I get to smoke more weed and drink coffee and do my podcast. I'm getting gigs. So this is good. Definitely a lot better than the super duper lockdown, man. That was deconstructing of everything. And now it's kind of like everybody's reconstructing, and you kind of really have to swing in the moment and be a lot more versatile. I'm not a hardcore, just a few one-hitters during the day, and maybe one right before I go to night, and keep it moving, and then maybe a few days off, and doing stretching. And I have been really good about my 5 Tibetan right stretches. These are these stretches that I do. I don't want to get too preachy, but I'm just telling you my morning routine as of late has been apple cider vinegar, a little shot of that into the water to get the good bacteria in the gut to start the day. And then but before that, I've been doing my stretches, trying to get my stretches knocked out before everybody's like running around. So I do that, And then I'm going into and then I was going into making my smoothie, making the peanut butter, banana, and now I did add hemp heart seeds, which has like ridiculous amount of protein. It's like 15 grams of protein. It's like so I put that in there with the peanut butter and everything. I'm literally drinking weed shakes, but they don't make you high. But it is, the flower, the cannabis plant was so ignored and so repressed for so long that in terms of like the use of it, and that's what I kind of want to do, is use it as a tool and not as like part of my pure personality, because there is times to walk away from it, and sometimes you don't want to smoke with sketchy ass people, especially with fucking COVID and stuff. I'm more solo mission or kick it with real cats that I super know if I break out the herbo, and try to keep it on the tastefully low, but at the same time, if I smell a little bit like weed, it don't fucking shake me down. Don't bring down my high, please. But having a nice cup of black coffee, had a few one-hitters, talking about the gigs. I just released a music video. I recut a music video. You can check it out on my YouTube, the Rob Cantrell YouTube page. Those are the two joints. I got a Rob Cantrell just straight up stand up in all my music videos, and then I also have a podcast page. If you subscribe to both of those, oh good Lord, think about the karma that's going to come your way, because it's positive vibes all day on those channels. Let me tell you, not all day. You can't be positive all the time, and you got to buck up and you got to call things out. But mostly what I'm learning, and I'm not perfect. I've been popping off a few times. But mostly what I'm learning is to treat it all like a test, and nothing's the finals. Because there's always a new fucking test happening. I don't even know if it's a test, but the more you are yourself, the more you can kind of accept what is happening, is what I'm learning. And sometimes that means standing up for yourself, and sometimes that means just telling, like, motherfucker, I'm not driving with you, or I'm not going into that place without a mat. But, you just have to do your own thing. And I think that's on the flip side too. Sometimes, it's just a very divisive world out there. But a lot of it's all in your head. That's what I love about the whole simplicity of living in the moment, is just like a lot of that is conceptual thoughts and all in your head. And the only real thing is the physicality of right this moment. And sometimes you gotta duck. Learn to duck. Dun, dun, chicken scratch. I've been listening to a lot of Grateful Dead. A lot of, what's it? Yeah. I'm Uncle Sam. I mean, I can't believe how much I know, like, all their catalog now. And I listened to all their hits, but now it's, like, even deeper, They had just such a long time and still selling tickets. Like, that's so wild. And so cool. But will it be forever, ever? Sometimes you don't know, It's like you put shit out there. And that's the best thing, when you put weird shit out there that doesn't do anybody no harm, but it does challenge the status quo. I think that's, not just but my Give Peace a Dance music video. It has some cartoons of some dancing frogs. It has some dancing night. It has some. I kind of made a collage of all kinds of cool stock footage that I thought was aesthetically cool. But there's really no message to it at all, except for just putting out peace and love vibes and being a chance to rock on the mic. Because during the pandemic, I wasn't doing hardcore stand-up, so I had all these old songs laying around that I knew I needed to get up on Spotify, or they would just like go out into the ether. But if they're up on, Coffee and Weed, I like that. I like that. The songs I put up there, I really like. Even though they're not $18 billion hits, I'm like, yo, these things are pretty good. I know good hip hop. I'm not saying it's great hip hop. It's definitely influenced by very good hip hop. And then mine is just, just being an almost 50-year-old dude that does a lot of stand-up and cool shows and has had a funky, weird life and just lay down. I love just laying down a beat and writing rhymes. And I love poetry. Like, I don't love listening to poetry, but I don't know, sometimes it's like drawing. Like, I don't know where that comes from, but sometimes you just like, fuck it. That's what I love about something coming from nothing and making something. Like, that's the most powerful shit. That's why music's so powerful. That's why comedy is so powerful. It's something from nothing and just making it with your own fucking bullshit and, your own fucking energy, moving it around how you do it. Fuck how they do it. How you do it. Do that. Do that to the supreme. Get into your trick bag. Do it to the supreme. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just saying, yeah, I'm trying to make some moves. I don't want to say I'm making moves because then people are like, this dude ain't making no moves. But, just being in this weird, like, day-to-day change of life, it moves, you think it's going to slow down. And it doesn't. Some new funky shit is always popping up. So that's why, I just love doing this podcast. I love doing stand-up comedy, and I love doing music. I love performing music now and then. I'm not the best. I almost did some karaoke the other week, but I bomb at karaoke. But then my buddy was like, that's the point. But I was like, I do enough stage bullshit. I get my yayas out by doing enough stand-up comedy for 20 fucking years. I shouldn't say it bitterly. It's blissfully. And I've had some of the best shows and best memories and all that shit, man. In terms of like getting laughs and being at cool spots. Starting out in San Francisco in 99 and learning how to do stand-up comedy there and doing shows there, doing my first show, like those first laughs and big laughs and getting like traction. I was smoking bowls and running around this cool, funky town that was way too much expensive for me, but it's a little bit less expensive than New York at the time. I don't know now, it's gotten even weirder. But there was still like a hippie might be able to make it in San Francisco vibe there when I arrived like in 99. The 90s, I think, there was like, just pockets of like hippie parts of towns where young 20-somethings could smoke weed and do work and, and artists and wannabe rock star type shit. But then New York and LA are like the big leagues, Or, there was a time I was really snobby about LA and not wanting to be a part of corporate LA. And I was just going to be an artist and say, this is, 99. And I was like 27. I was just going to stay in San Francisco and try to make it happen there. And I almost did. You can make it happen. It just means various degrees of success. And, my shout out to my buddy W. Kamau Bell. He never moved to LA or New York. Like, he got his television show by being a comic in San Francisco. And that, I got my big break in Last Comic Standing, the very first one in 2003. And I was from San Francisco. So it's just really cool when you come from out of like, the mainstream and make it pop. It's nice. But it's also New York and LA, like there's just so many good people and people are taking it so serious that you have to like step up your game and always be a little bit on guard or a little bit better. There's not many times to completely slack out or blow it off or you're going to just get run over by the competition. I'm doing a stand-up show at Eastville Comedy Club. And then I'm actually doing a set Sunday night at the oldest stand-up comedy club, the Comic Strip, on the Upper East Side on Sunday night. So I don't do those clubs all the time, but it's nice to, I just like doing stand-up in New York City. There is a fucking magic to it, no matter where you are. It's just a good town for that type of shit. Not all the crowds are great, not all the comics are great, but I know it. And sometimes it could just be I don't know. It's just I'm just looking forward to doing more shows and live performances, as well as, writing. That's been the main thing of just sitting down and knocking out some scripts and I definitely want to get a book out there one day, or I will get a book. You need to say that into the ether, into the universe, But yeah, this coffee's amazing, and this herb is amazing. I'm looking forward to kind of a chill week. I'm just doing some spots and working on some writing projects, and then trying to get a little bit more art for the podcast. I like making the beats for the podcast and mixing it, so I'll get into that, try to make this one really good. Hopefully the sound and the vibe will really sit in there nicely, because you just want to just set up things nicely. So yeah, check me out on my website, robcantrell.com, for shows. Nothing's up there right now for out of town, but I'll put up little stuff that might pop up in New York, but definitely looking to get more out there. Definitely more cannabis events. So if you're looking for an MC or somebody to do some comedy during your cannabis event, hit me up at contact@robcantrell, or check out my website for representation. Go through official channels if you've got official money. But I'm busy enough doing this here, and I also want to start working out just a little bit more. I got my fucking I guess it's my 4th booster yesterday. My arm is sore, but not crazy. I didn't really feel it that much. And I made sure I walked around, and then I super chilled out. I watched a couple episodes of Succession, and just that's a great show. But and chilled out, and it wasn't no big deal. And now I'm all boosted up, so that's going to be nice. But I didn't want to get the flu shot the same day. I know that's what everybody's talking about. So I'm staggering it. I'm going to get a flu shot in a week. And then I've been doing my Tibetan stretches, been slacking on my meditation, my 20-minute meditation, but I need to get back into it. They say it's two parts of 20 minutes a day. And you could feel it, just how you're, this morning I woke up with a lot of resentment, and just it's just the monkey mind. You get on a weird click, you gotta click over to positive thoughts in the morning. And mostly a lot of that stuff comes from jealousy and stuff like that, or, a couple little hard hits and you're off your back foot. And in the morning, it's hard to push off. I'll just get cranky. Maybe it's the coffee and all that. Maybe no, I think it's, what it is. It's growing older, and you just got to take more care of yourself and treat yourself a little bit softer and stretch out more and be cooler. And then also understand about subconscious and how you can program your own mind. And then if your mind is a creative type, it just starts spinning. But now I know how to just take a step back from it spinning. I used to think the spinning of the mind was the creativity, but I don't think so. The creativity is more in the quietness and kind of letting it come to you. But sometimes, when I'm on stage or in this podcast, I gotta get things spinning. you're fucking with your bullshit, trying to make fire, getting those two sticks together, rubbing it. And other motherfuckers is like, why is that dude rubbing those sticks together? And you're like, I'm rubbing these sticks together. And then, wata, fire on the mountain, fire. That's a great song. Grateful Dead, Fire on the Mountain. I don't care if it's hacky or not, but that's a great tune. I've been getting into lyrics writing, doing my album Caffeinated Dope Rhymes. Like, I always loved reading lyrics. Read all the Beastie Boys lyrics. Definitely read all like Grateful Dead lyrics. I always like reading. Sometimes I even like reading lyrics more than even the song itself. Somebody's trying to call. I just declined. But it seemed like a name. I don't know. These guys, these people are so crafty these days, man. It made it sound like a name that sounded important, but I didn't know. And I was like, and this seems like it's like right around noon on a Friday. That's a big time spam call time. That's when the fucking bots are out there. That's the thing about the internet. I know you gotta hustle and grind. Get on the internet. Oh, he's clever on the internet. Oh, look at that style. Oh, internet. Ooh, likes, numbers, all that shit. But at the same time, it's nice to not fuck with the internet because all these bots, that's what I'm saying. It's not real when all these bots, fake ass weirdos, are out here programming bots to call people and drive hate algorithms up, Come on, let's get a fucking little bit of a view on this shit, back away from the heat, because it's not that dope. I respect your internet fame, but at the same time, ease up. But I want a little bit of internet. The thing is, you need the internet, but then it does definitely, I've been on it where I'm like, I just am looking on Instagram, like, and all these thoughts, and you see pictures and all these, and I'm like, it's getting the monkey mind going crazy, But it is part of the gig, and I do think communication with Instagram and TikTok and the younger generations and social media, it's like anything. I guess, there's a dark side and a light side to it all. Because I do think communication and the communicating of difficult ideas and difficult topics and being able to understand nuance within those joints, that the internet kind of is a good tool for that, TikTok, I don't do TikTok. I just read about this article about the biggest cannabis influence. Like, TikTok is run by China. China's scared of cannabis, man. Governments are usually, especially authoritarian governments. You never heard Donald Trump talking about cannabis, because cannabis makes you wise up against the king. You kind of wise up and kind of move towards nature, and it makes you understand your ego. And politicians are driven a lot by ego. The bad ones are. But if you're walking in the light, nobody can fuck with you, whether you're bad or good or whatever. If you're yourself, that's what I'm kind of learning. When you're kind of true to your essence, is because you're not judging other motherfuckers when you're doing that, and you're accepting your own bullshit. And then you kind of walk through anything, It's when you kind of claim some shit. And that's why, I put out this Give Peace a Dance. But the Russian conflict and all that is I'm pro-Ukraine all day. I'm not into authoritarian bullshit. So, but at the same time, my mind isn't 100% around the whole thing. And I do understand that vibe is everything now. So just putting out something positive that's peace and love, especially something hip-hop driven. I knew it was kind of punk rock, so I dig that. And yeah, that's what it is, man. Because we're all looking for peace. Peace is just that moment when you could just fucking chill and relax. That's the exhale of the fucking ganja smoke, yo. Even if you don't smoke pot, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. But that's the whole other thing. I think everybody knows that. And then there's like, but motherfucker, fuck these. People are manipulating power. I don't know. I do want to give a shout out to I was gonna give a shout out to a couple big artists, but now I'm like, oh fuck them. Maybe I should look at some smaller artists that I am listening to. I know Spotify's fucking evil and they're ripping artists off. I don't know if they're evil or not. I think somebody in my building works for them. I think they're just a big corporation. But damn it, I like it. I like it. It works for me. I've been listening to a lot of reggae. Make Me Smile by the Slackers. Check that out. One More Cup of Coffee by Damian Marley. Don't fuck around. Jimmy Cliff, Hard Road to Travel. Jimmy Cliff is trippy because he seems like Bob Marley's. Oh, You Can't Blame the Youth. That's a good one. Bob Marley and the Wailers. You Can't Blame the Youth. That is a fucking sick. And Walk the Proud Land. I know I've told you guys about that one, but I love that one. Walk the Proud Land. And you can't blame the youth. You can't fool the youth. That's some Peter Tosh shit. Peter Tosh was definitely on, pro rebellion. I think there's all this kind of rebellion in the air. And I just think, I'm not telling you what to do and anything like that. But I think positive rebellion and pacifism is a stronger tool sometimes. I don't know. That's my opinion. I don't know. I think it's all on personal, it's all inward. I think that's the new thing, man. That's the new outer space is inward space. For me, I think as you get older, it's like I see all the bullshit, but I'm like, man, I grew up in the 70s. There was crazy bullshit even back then. There's always crazy bullshit. You know where there's no crazy bullshit? Inner space, yo. When you start going inward, and you start being like, oh, I'm connected to all these people, that cat, the tree, the sky, the earth, that's infinity in a sense, And then the ego's all like, I want to be me. My balls need to get licked. Come on. Let's rock and roll. And you should rock and roll and you should get your balls licked. No, but you know what I'm talking about. It's like, it's just the balance. I think we're all looking for balance. That's why balance and peace. That's the gig. I don't know. People are all over the map these days. But there's also awesome, cool shit. I know I'm feeling awesome and cool. Like if I ever check in with myself, I'm like, yo, this is cool. This is awesome. Even on the bad days, if I'm healthy, that's what I've noticed. But when I'm sick, that's when I'm like, oh, motherfucker. And that's why, mental health is so hard. But if I'm healthy, like physically healthy, and then mentally clear, like just not the drama or bullshit or dark clouds, like when you get to, I'm like, oh, it's like the sun is just that moment when the sun just hits you just right, and you're like, oh, yes. And the one thing that gets you out of your head is serving, helping others. But you got to make that call on yourself and where your energy's at and where you want your energy to go. You kind of learn that, in New York, is there's so many panhandlers, but there's so many, people on the dark side that are trying to make a quick dollar, to fiend, That's the thing about, hard drugs is the fiending. Even with cannabis, people fiend out. Like, I think with anything you can fiend, just that itch. And sometimes I have it. I think I do have kind of a all-in type of vibe. That's why I was always so scared of cocaine or doing hard drugs or any of that. I definitely fucking made some mistakes, and that's what I get scared of the youth, because fentanyl are killing people. Like, even if you just took some ecstasy pill for the first time or something, it could be cut with fentanyl, man. At a Jamiroquai concert. At least that's what I did when I was 25. But now that could have been the last night. You think about your life, I was like, maybe I have like a cat soul, because I've just been bounced off the concrete so many times. But if you keep on getting up, it keeps on going and getting better. I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, and then shit just pops in my lap, like the Craig Robinson weekend. That was fucking sick. As stand-up wise, the shows were all sold out and packed out. Got paid great. The staff was awesome. I'm eating chicken fingers with good barbecue sauce, and it's fucking tasted good and cooked well. Not in the greasy oil, but in the good oil. Gotta get cooked in peanut oil. Are you guys all thinking about oils? Yeah, oils are heavy, I think that's where that whole cholesterol thing kicks in. But my skin is dry, so I've been looking for some good skin lotion. And then like I had that great old school hash, and I had it in my glass one hit. Like that was like perfect. But the only thing is you sleep like a baby. Like I went down like, I was getting deep REM. But it was good it was kind of getting cold out there. It was in the middle of the woods, and upstate New York is kind of trippy and hippie. And so it kind of fit the bill. I'm seeing the light hit this plant just right. Just green, that awesome green. Whoever decided to make the money the color green is pretty amazing. And I think, is that only our money? Because other people's money isn't green. People rock like purple and light blue and gray, but we got the green money. But America seems to be opening to cannabis, but I did see Thailand is like exploding right now. Like in terms of just pushing it, not even pushing it, just opening up. I don't know. Times are changing. It's going to be wild to see how it plays out and how it's going to affect the economy and how it's going to affect, people. But I do, it's a psychoactive drug, and people have mental problems out there, and I think everybody should be in a little bit of therapy. And the older you get, especially if you grew up kind of rough, it's like you got to do meditation, you got to do a little bit thing, you got to, listen to yourself. But some people just do them and don't even. I think sometimes I'm just too hard on myself on this shit. But at the same time, I know what works for me. And that's when I'm not feeling healthy. That's the whole thing with drinking alcohol. Like it was never like, I'm out of control. I don't know. It was just like the next day, the hangovers just got so bad. And then when I'm at that point, I don't function right. I don't like life that much. I shouldn't say that, but it's like, I'm just when you're sick, it's like, ugh, it's just hard. But when you're clear and clean, crisp and clean with a little bit of caffeine and it's a little bit of green, it's like I feel like I could take on the world and take a nap and drink some more coffee and a little bit of water. I worry about my coffee a little bit. I've been slowing down. I only drink good coffee and out of my Chemex, which I've learned to love. Anybody that was weirded out by the Chemex, and I was for literally like 10 years, and then I got one, and then I started using it, and I was like, damn, this coffee is good, and there is kind of a beauty to the dance of it. And if you're into coffee and like getting good beans and shit, it is kind of like, wow. Because it's not like you're drinking espresso, but you can make it so dark and rich and good, but it's filtered so it doesn't like fucking kill you. It's filtered really good, and you can just rock it, But I'm at the last bit of cup of the coffee. I've been doing my stretches, been pumping a lot of reggae, a lot of Grateful Dead, a lot of hip hop. Not a ton. Like, there's times where all I did was listen to hip hop. Let's see this shit. I have one playlist that's all reggae, and it's like so much because I like it, I love it, by Lyrics Born. Lyrics Born is a great San Francisco MC. Shout out to him. But I like it, I love it. That's a good one. Check that out. I'm gonna end on that because I like it and I love it. Meaning Cannabis and Coffee. I love doing this podcast. We're gonna keep on rolling and rocking till the next episode. And subscribe to the YouTube. Be nice to your mama. And take it light. Peace.